Both rhinos and hedgehogs must learn to manage their anger properly, and if necessary, get expert help to do so. Uncontrolled anger has terrible consequences, and unless we learn to control the way we express hurt and anger, whether in response to big issues or small things, we can easily get into a pattern which is repeated again and again, and it becomes a downward spiral.
Hurt leads to anger, which can then lead us to want to retaliate. Hurt for hurt, rejection for rejection. We want to show our partner what it feels like to have been upset in this way. And as a result, we get into a downward cycle of mutual blame. This can then lead to fear. Fear causes us to withdraw emotionally and build a wall of protection around our heart so as not to be hurt again. And if we're like the rhino, our skin will get thicker. And if we're like the hedgehog, our prickles will get longer and somewhat sharper. This destructive pattern of hurt and anger and mutual blame fills us up with negative emotions. Anger must be managed, not buried. It's no good pushing the emotions down and expecting them to disappear. As the psychologist and marriage counsellor Selwyn Hughes said, an emotion is never buried dead, it is always buried alive. And this is a particular danger for hedgehogs.
Anger can lead to a state of withdrawal. So some people are very, very uncomfortable with expressing any level of dissatisfaction or anger or displeasure, and therefore what happens is they sort of bottle it all up, they hold it within. And therefore what sometimes those people will do is they will stonewall, or they'll give a cold shoulder, or they'll sort of collapse in on themselves, even though that person who doesn't want to express their anger says, oh no, it would be terrible to express anger. You can see it in their eyes. You see the rage in their eyes, and you kind of hear it in the way they wash the dishes or tidy the house, that even though on one level they're not expressing anger, they're leaking resentment everywhere. Sometimes it can be quite small things in a marriage that people get upset about, particular habits that a husband or wife has, or maybe particular things they don't do. It can either boil down to really, really tiny things like not checking the doors locked before they go to sleep. It can be quite minor things, but it's good to notice that that's something that actually I just feel a little bit of twinge of annoyance there. And maybe I should note that, and just note that maybe that's something I could say something about. Because if we don't express it, we are assuming that our husband or wife is doing it on purpose, and they're always going to do it. So weirdly, to stop being angry, we have to notice what makes us angry. And do you know what? We also have to have a little bit of hope that they're better than we think they are, and that actually if they know what upsets us, they might actually change.
Buried hurt and anger impact every part of our lives. Our behaviour can be affected. We may start escaping into work or drinking too much. It can affect us physically. We may not be able to sleep or eat properly. And there can be emotional symptoms such as low self-esteem, depression, or emotional shutdown. And people who are on the verge of separation often say words to this effect: I don't feel love anymore. In fact, I don't feel anything at all. I feel numb.
This is hardly surprising. It's the physiological response to the unhealed hurt and negative emotions which have accumulated inside. And it means there's no space for the positive feelings of love, romance, affection, and so on.
And unless we deal with the hurt and anger at the root, we end up losing connection, which destroys our intimacy and potentially our whole relationship.